Svatom Patak. Happy Friday. I am Sarah of Expat in Croatia. And every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, answer 5 questions from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, expatinCroatia.com, email my consulting sessions, and people who flag me down on the street. So this is 5 Question Friday. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I've got 5 great questions for you today. But first, I have so much stuff to tell you. Let me dive in. Okay, so first, I feel like I don't live in Split anymore because I have to do so many trips for the rest of the year. I just feel like I'm never going to be home. So this week, or yesterday I should say, I booked 2 new trips. So one, I'm going to CSAC for the very first time. There's a conference at the end of the month. And also a woman has said that she would like to take me around and show me CSAC. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. It's a diaspora conference actually called G2. So I'll be attending that. If anyone has any suggestions for CSAC, please don't hesitate to share them with us. And then next, I'm going to Maliloshin. I've never been to Maliloshin, and I've always wanted to go. I've seen pictures, and the water just looks extraordinary. So I've shared with you that I take Croatian lessons with the Croatian Language School, which is based in Zagreb. Every summer, they do an immersive program on Maliloshin. So you go and you stay there and you only speak Croatian. Like you cannot speak any English, no other languages, like Croatian the whole time. So I'm going to do that next month. I'll be there for a week and that's going to be really scary and exciting. And I'm so happy that I have the opportunity to do that. So that'll be really fun, and I'll definitely document that experience throughout that entire week. So next, tonight I'm going to this private party for this car rally. So when Maria and I were in Bucharest last year for that diplomatic event where we represented Croatia, there was a company there that does these car rallies where people drive around fancy cars. I don't know. And after my speech, we got they said, hey, would you like a ride to Parliament with us? And I was like, yeah. So Maria got to ride in this like NASCAR level BMW thing. And I got to ride in a yellow, very, very loud Lamborghini, I guess, which I'd never been in one of those before. So anyways, those people are now here doing a car rally in Split. And I have the privilege of knowing the organizer, so she asked me to come. So I don't know what that looks like or what that means, but I'm pretty jazzed about it. Okay, also, we are working on our new website, which is really fun. I've been wanting to redo our homepage for a while, and it just kept getting pushed aside because, I don't know, we've got like a million things to do. So I haven't been able to focus on it, but we're focusing on it now. And I don't know, some of you may have gotten a glimpse of it. I put a very brief glimpse on our stories this week. So kudos if you caught it. I'm not going to like show it out more than that. Maybe you'll get another glimpse on stories. So check out stories in the coming couple of weeks and you may get to see our homepage, our new homepage before anybody else does. We just got the revisions this morning from the designer and I'm pretty happy with them. It's going to be a very big change. And then we're going to be making changes throughout the site over the course of the next month and a half. We're just doing kind of one piece at a time. So I'm pretty excited about the new look because we haven't redone the homepage in about, I guess, a year and a half. So it's time. It's time. Next, what else? Oh yeah, Saturday, tomorrow, is a holiday here in Croatia. It is Victory and Homeland Thanksgiving Day, which commemorates Oluja, which is the last major battle of the Homeland War. So this is when Croatia liberated Knin, the town of Knin, which is about an hour and a half-ish from Split, I'd have to say. So we do have a guide on that. If you'd like to learn more about what that holiday means, just send us a DM. We'll be more than happy to send it to you. Oh, you're doing a great job to present Croatia beautifully. Oh, thank you so much. That's the goal all the time. So if I'm even doing half of that, I feel good about that. Thank you so much for that kind comment. Next, I'm going to Sarajevo next week. I've never been to Sarajevo. I cannot wait. I have tried to go to Sarajevo like 4 or 5 times, and every single time I make plans to go to Sarajevo, something catastrophic happens and I can't go. So I'm assuming that that's not going to happen this time and that I'm actually going to get there. So it's just a quick trip. I'm going on Friday and coming back on Sunday. I am really excited about it. So I have a couple of friends that are super important to me. They used to live here in Split, and then they left to move to Turkey, but they also have a home in Sarajevo. And I wrote a post a year and a half ago about the hardest part of being an expat. I also filmed a video here on Instagram a few months back about that when we reshared that post, and that post was written about them, actually. So I will be doing 5 Question Friday from Sarajevo next week, so I hope you'll tune in for that, because I will have a new background. Oh yeah, so a few weeks ago, I was on Brach for my 40th birthday celebration, and I finally made the home movie for that. So we're going to probably post that on Monday, although I'm going to put out a story on Sunday saying, hey, does anyone actually want to see my home video from my birthday bash on the island? So keep an eye on stories, and you can vote yes or no, because maybe you don't care at all and have no interest in seeing it, but I'm pretty excited about the video. It came out amazing. So that's it. I'm going to get started with the questions now, okay? So thank you everybody for being here. This is 5 Question Friday if you're just joining us, and I'm going to answer 5 questions about Croatia. So this first one comes in from Maria here on Instagram. I have a question about HZZO. I moved to Croatia in November and started working here in May. I don't know when I will receive my health insurance card. Do you know maybe the process about that and how I can get the card? Great question. So there is no standard timeline for when HZZO will send you your card. It would be nice if they sent it within 30 days, but they don't. They don't. They take their sweet time. So people have waited months and months and months to get their cards. Now, just because you don't have your card does not mean that you cannot use your health insurance. What you need to use your state health insurance is your OIB, your OIB number, and your MBS number. So when you registered for health insurance, they should have given you some kind of paper proving that you're registered, and it should have an MBS number on it. You need to have that. Your OIB is not enough. So in Maria's case, if she signed up for her state health insurance, I mean, it sounds like it could have been a year ago now at this point, almost. She should go and check it out. There's no harm in going there. If it's been more than like 4 months, there's no harm in going to HZZO and being like, hey, where's my card, man? When I got my card, I requested a new card at some point and they misspelled my name. And I was like, how did that happen? Isn't this like an automated process? And even the letter, they sent me a letter with the card, and it was spelt right on the letter, but it wasn't spelt right on the card. So it said Dason for a really long time. And I had to go back and be like, hey, can you fix this, please? And even then, it took a while. Okay, so in terms of what we can offer you, we have guides on the basic state health insurance, Dopunsko, which is the recommended supplement that every single medical professional in Croatia will judge you if you do not have, and it's worth it because it only costs like an additional 5 to 7 euros per month. You can get it for 5 if you go through a private company, and we can recommend one. Or Dodatno, which is like the big mega behemoth private version that you can also get on top of all the other things. You have to have the basic state to have Dodatno or Dopunsko. So we have guides on those. If you would like them, send us a DM, and Danny will send you those guides. Okay, so next, this comes from Megan on our 5 Question Friday form. So you can find our 5 Question Friday form on expatcroatia.com or at the link in our profile or in our newsletter. She says, I applied in 2022 for Croatian citizenship by descent and am currently awaiting a response. I'm very curious to know what goes into the process of granting or denying a citizenship application. How much time is typically spent on any application? Is a single MUP employee responsible for assessing the application form start to finish, or is each application viewed by a team? I would appreciate any illumination that might better, any information that might better illuminate this process. Thank you. Okay, so it all depends, well, it depends on a variety of factors. So one, it's never just one person. Usually there is one primary caseworker who is evaluating an application, but in most cases, there are multiple people who are involved in the process, and it all depends on which channel you come in through, whether you apply abroad at a consulate or embassy, or whether you apply locally here in Croatia at a police station. So I will give you an example from my own citizenship application. So when I applied for citizenship, the first person was a caseworker who was in the split office. So she's the one who did the initial processing. She is the representative that talks to me about my application when I am at Split MUP talking about my citizenship. And then a few weeks later, another officer showed up at my house to take a statement from me to interview me. So he didn't know anything about my case. He just got an assignment and he was like, hey, go interview this person about citizenship. So that was 2 people already. And then I have an extraordinary case because I'm not applying based on descent. If you're just applying on descent, then it would go to MUP Zagreb and they would do their processing there. And then if they need anything additional, then the consulate or the local police station, it'll get bounced back to them, and then there's a human there who has to get more information from you. I have extra steps because I'm applying based on Article 12, which is special interest, so I have 2 additional ministries I'm dealing with. So my application also went to someone at the Ministry of Tourism and someone at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so that they can form an opinion to decide if they want to, if they will make a recommendation on my behalf that I deserve citizenship. So like I said, it just depends, but it's never usually just one person. One person will be the main caseworker in MUP Zagreb, in the ministry in Zagreb. But usually there are a few different steps in the process that are done by different people with different responsibilities. So that's important to say. So in terms of how they're approved, so if you're talking about Article 4, 5, 10, 11, so 4 is origin, 5 is by birth, 10 is by marriage, and 11 is by descent. So for those, it's cut and dry. If you meet the requirements, you're going to be approved, usually. But with Article 16, member of the Croatian people usually apply based on Article 16 if they don't qualify on the first 4 that I mentioned due to some kind of technicality. So like a really common technicality that we get is someone, okay, let's say that their parents are Croatian and they left Croatia to move abroad, but then they returned back to Croatia, then in that case they wouldn't qualify based on Article 11, because Article 11 is for the descendants of Croatian immigrants, and if they return to Croatia, they're no longer immigrants. I don't really get that, because to me, it seems like you should not be punished if your parent or ancestor returned to Croatia, reunited with Croatia, but for some reason in this case you are punished for that. In which case you have to apply under Article 16. So Article 16 is a lot more vague. You really just have to prove your connection to Croatia, a super strong connection to Croatia, that you identify as Croatian. And so that has a lot more discretion involved. And then Article 12, which is what I applied based on, special interest, where it's all discretion. Like, it's complete discretion. There's no guidelines, there's no rule book. It's just, you just gotta wing it. I mean, they basically just say, you know, it needs to be in the interest of the Republic of Croatia. That's what you have to prove. So what does that mean, really? So yeah, that's super fun that I get the fully discretionary one. Now, people do get denied sometimes. I've seen people get denied because they're already citizens. People get denied. It has to be a valid reason, because they have to state the reason in the letter why you're denied. It can't be a discretionary reason. It can't be like, oh, this person's name sounds Serbian, so we're going to deny them. They can't do that. Now, what they may do, and I have had a number of clients who've come to me about this, where it seems all the context clues show that this is the case, where they don't want to apply it because, let me start over. They don't want to approve it because of some discretionary issue, but it's not an issue that they can legally use for denial. So then they just won't approve it. They won't process it. It will just get stuck in a drawer and collect dust for a while. And that could go on for years. I spoke to one woman from Albania, and she had been waiting for 8 years. If you're waiting for citizenship for 8 years, you're not getting citizenship. That's just the unfortunate truth of the matter. Okay. Is that everything I wanted to say about that? Yes, it is. So if you're interested in citizenship, we have lots of guides about that. We have a guide that goes over all the different bases. We have a guide on descent, and we have a guide on naturalization. So if you'd like any of that, just send us a DM, and we'd be more than happy to send that over to you. So it looks like we got a question from WRD. How does the applying to temporary residence based on prepayment of rent go? Well, you need to prepay your rent for up to a year, and you have all the other standard requirements. You have a background check. You need to show that you have enough money to support yourself. You need to show that you have health insurance. So once you have all those things, you need to apply from within Croatia for that option. So it's really difficult for people who require a visa to enter Croatia to apply based on prepayment of rent. It's pretty much impossible to do it that way. Because when you require a visa to enter Croatia, you have to apply for residence abroad. How are you going to come into Croatia, find a place to live, and prepay the rent if you have to apply for residence abroad? And in my experience, and the experience of our clients, the process for prepayment of rent is usually longer. It's a lot of months. So it really only makes sense for people who don't require a visa to enter Croatia. So you submit all your documents at the closest police station, the closest administrative police station to where you're living, and then they process it. And that's pretty much how it goes. We do have a guide on prepayment of rent based residence. So if you'd like that, send us a DM. We'll be happy to send it to you. Okay. Next question is from Emily. This came during one of my consulting sessions. Is the judges' strike affecting the opening of companies? So if you have been remotely following us for the last 10 days, I did a video explaining the judicial strike that was going on, and then I also did a video explaining that the judicial strike is over. So it ended this past Monday, which is super great news for everyone in Croatia. But there are definitely some ramifications. So I got this question while the strike was still happening, but it's still applicable even though the strike has ended. Because she was asking if it affects the opening of companies. And yes, it did affect the opening of companies because company registration is approved by the commercial court. And the commercial court, well, the workers at the commercial court were on strike. So they weren't processing the registration of companies. Now, does that mean that everything's fine now? No, it does not mean that, because now there are significant delays and backlogs as a result of this strike. So we're going to continue to see the ramifications and effects of the strike for months and possibly more than a year to come. Okay. Now, next, this came from Bethany, also on one of my consulting sessions. How can I pay a parking ticket? Oh, it's pretty easy. I've gotten several parking tickets in my time in Croatia, and there's two ways to pay them, but I want to just talk about paying bills in general. So whenever you get a bill from a utility or the city because of a parking ticket, it's most likely going to look like this. This is Neuplatnica, okay? This example is from my trash bill from Čistoća. So they all tend to look like this. The only difference is that sometimes they don't have a barcode. They're awesome when they have a barcode, because when they have a barcode, all you have to do is scan it with your mobile banking app, or you can take it to a TSAC or a supermarket or a post office, and they will scan it, and then you just pay them. If it doesn't have a barcode, that doesn't mean you still can't pay it. It just means that wherever you choose to pay it, the payment information has to be manually entered. So that's not that big of a deal. In my experience, when I got parking tickets here in Split, they had a barcode on them. When I got a parking ticket in Motavun last year, it did not have a barcode, so I had to manually put that information in. I find parking tickets usually are not that expensive. It really just depends on how egregious your parking misstep was. We have a guide on how to pay bills in Croatia, which I find to be extremely vital, because one of the most common questions that I get is, do I need a bank account in Croatia? To which I say, unless you're getting paid a Croatian salary, there's no reason to have a Croatian bank account. We don't have free checking here, so you would have to pay for the bank account every month. You'd have to pay for mobile banking. You have to pay for online banking, and that adds up. So usually people only use bank accounts so that they can pay bills. You don't need a bank account to pay a bill in Croatia. It's super easy to pay bills in Croatia because of these nifty little uplatnice with the barcodes on them. So we have a guide on that. If you'd like to see it, send us a DM. I'm more than happy to shoot it over to you. Okay, so is this our last question? Yes, it is. So this one came from Anvar on the 5-question Friday form. Question is about digital nomad stay permit. I understand that once I submit all the documents, I can just stay in Croatia and wait for the decision from MUP, even if I'm past the 90 days allowed. But what about my wife? Can she also stay with me and wait, or she must go out of the country after 90 days? Will she need to go on the state health insurance once she gets the permit? The part of spouse of digital nomad is really not clear on MUP's website. Shocker. I'm happy to answer both of those questions. Okay, first, as far as whether or not she can wait in Croatia while her permit is approved depends on her nationality. So I alluded to this a little bit earlier. If you require a visa to enter Croatia, you must apply abroad. Now, in practice, they have been allowing digital nomads who need a visa to enter Croatia to apply from within Croatia as long as they have a visa to enter the country, but that's not written anywhere. So it's not a guarantee, but that has been our experience from the last 2 years of the digital nomad permit being in practice. But they have made the spouse, if the spouse requires a visa to enter Croatia, to wait abroad. They can't wait in Croatia. Now, we've had some lawyers that have advocated for those spouses staying in Croatia while they wait, because then they're splitting up the family, and that's usually been when in cases where they have a child. So they've been able to push MUP on that and get an exception. But the rule of thumb is that they would have to wait abroad. Now, if we're talking about a person who does not require a visa to enter Croatia, then yes, the spouse can absolutely wait in Croatia with their spouse, the digital nomad, while their application is in process. Past the 90 days, that's not a problem. Once you submit your application in Croatia, the 90 days no longer matters. You're no longer a tourist, but you're no longer a resident. You just kind of go into this little limbo status. Okay, the second question. Will she need to go on the state health insurance after? Yes. So on the digital nomad permit, you have an exemption from signing up for the state health insurance, but that exemption only applies to digital nomads. It does not apply to their family members, so their spouse or their child. So in that case, his wife will need to sign up for the state health insurance in this case. Okay. We have lots of guides we can send you. We have a guide to the digital nomad permit. We have an FAQ for the digital nomad permit. And we have, of course, the guides on health insurance. So if you would like any of that, send us a DM. We'd be more than happy to send that over to you. Okay, guys, that is it. That is it for today. So thank you so much for being here. If you're just joining us and you're like, oh, dang, I came at the end, it's okay. Don't worry, because I'm going to post a replay in the profile later, and you can catch up on all of our questions and all my updates, everything. I will see you here next Friday, but I will be in Sarajevo. Today I'm in our office. Danielle and I were filming a bunch of videos for YouTube today, which is pretty exciting. We are not transitioning. That's not the right word, because that makes it sound like we're abandoning Instagram. We're not. I would never. You guys are like my favorite people ever in the world. We are going to start posting more regularly on YouTube. We're going to be doing some longer form videos that we can't really do on Instagram over there. And so right now we're just kind of stacking up some videos because we're going to be posting one a week. So we just want to make sure that we have lots of them in the bank. So that's pretty exciting. I think that we're realistically probably going to start posting regularly on Instagram in the early fall-ish. But we'll definitely let you know once that happens. So that's that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I love having this time with you. If you want to see your question answered on 5 Question Friday, then send us a DM or fill out the 5 Question Friday form or send a carrier pigeon or whatever it is that you want to do to get your question to us. There's no question that's too weird, too mundane, nothing. We will answer them all. So thank you so much to everybody who submitted questions this week, and I'll see you next Friday. Vidimos se, ciao!